our programs administrator. Shall we give her a round of applause, please? Let's give her a round of applause. That was a wonderful prayer to get us started. Online, we are likely to have people in various parts of the country. I want to even believe international. Those in the Tema area, just give us a wave. Those in Takrady, give us a wave. Those in Greater Accra proper, we say give us a wave. Those in Koforidua, give us a wave. Cape Coast, Takrady, Takwa, give us a wave. This is a session that belongs to you. You are just online, but it belongs to you. As we get started, I would like to humbly please invite the following. Our president of the institute, Dr. Kwapon. Dr. Kwapon, he will be here soon. Whilst he's coming, I will take time and then invite our guest. Let me invite the director of the institute. Sorry, the chief executive officer of the institute, chief executive officer, Dr. Ebi. I call him Ebi, but we like to call him Ebenezer Agbeto. Please. Sorry about that. Those online, I just need to make sure chief executive officer was well seated and well placed. May I continue inviting the president of the Cihrm, Dr. Kwapon. Please take your seat. Please take your seat. Yes. Those of you in-house, the responsibility is yours. Clap and let those online just know that you are here. Yes, that's right. Let me also invite our Vice President, Mr. Leonard Kwakupum. Leonard Kwakupum. If you don't know, he's a Gan. And so you can understand where I come from. I'm an Anglo boy, tainted with some Gan. So it's either Leonard or Leonard. Then you know that we attended some school. A sweet thing about Leonard is you would see him in a kind of beard like mine if you are online. You will get to know and understand that it's a Tema thing. It's a Tema thing. You watch it out carefully. The Tema people are getting some signature thing with beards and things like that. Yeah. Right. The next person I want to invite is Mr. Atapedi. Mr. Atapedi. Yes, please. Ladies and gentlemen, there's one seat left. Without having to introduce him, I humbly and respectfully want to invite Mr. Eric Adadebo. Mr. Eric Adadebo. I use a Tigo line, please, and that's just for the first information. I use an Airtel Tigo line. Mr. Adadebo. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Definitely for a program like this, we don't assume that we understand what we are here for, even though we know what we are here for. But it's a valid way of understanding it. So for us to all be focused and have an understanding of what today is about, permit me to invite our Chief Executive Officer to give us the welcome address of all of us gathered and those online. Those of you here present, you will clap as I am on the mic. You will clap to the end of the day, because those online are asking me to ask you to be clapping. Shall we welcome Mr. Agbeto? Dr. Ebenezer Agbeto, our Chief Executive Officer. Thank you.
Good morning to all of you. It's great to have you safe. I see you are with your nice antics, and we all enjoy this. Um, Online requires that we ensure we do things as brief as possible. I tend to come along with a bit of a long one, but I'll do my best to keep it short. Guest speaker, immediate past, president, present, president, vice president, executive members of council, ex-council members, chairpersons and members of committees, resource persons, members of the institute, secure staff, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. Following the institute's inability to stage the 2022 AGM due to circumstances beyond our control, I must say it is heartwarming that once again I come to today's AGM. This is the second time the AGM is being held in June as required by Act 2020 Act 1020. And for the second time, the AGM being conducted both virtually and in person, in essence, hybrid. The purpose of today's AGM is fourfold. Firstly, to take inventory of all that happened in the past year, which will be presented by the President in his annual report address. Secondly, we will have the opportunity to listen to a seasoned professional who will share his thoughts on today's theme with us. Thirdly, we will also go through the business session where we will adopt the last 8 minutes and hear from a representative of the audit service. This is the first time we've had our finances audited by the audit service. So we have moved forward. We are certainly firmly now in the hands of government. So everything that we do, we are hoping that we will not be called to the accounts, DPAs, accounts committee to answer questions. With that, I'm hoping that my president will be beside me. If you buy water, you have to account for it. My internal auditor too will also be beside me. So I'm fully guided by these honorable colleagues of mine. Lastly, we have the opportunity to confer fellows on some of our members who have distinguished themselves in the HR space. So basically, these are the four items that we are today. What I would say is that we have made some progress during the period under review, and the bulk of it will be touched on by our president. But I must say that there are one or two of them that I want to take with pleasure. The president, I hope that is allowed. We finally got the Minister of Education to inaugurate the new council on July 22nd last year. Fortunately, we also had all the committees under the council inaugurated on May 19, 2023. Second phase of the HR building complex, I would say it's almost done. Who is also busy flying the flag of Ghana in his own role. And I must say that when it comes to the airline, what I'm going to say is basically the latest of latest of latest. We had the opportunity to meet the subsidiary legislation committee on Monday. Went through the whole lot. Comments were made, and all that were captured by the AG's office, who were represented by two of the officials. They've done all the necessary corrections, and they sent the revised one to me yesterday. This is now going back just to the department, the head of legal department, and then from there he will then deal with the committee's chairman, and then I think from there it will move on to the head of table, and then hopefully from there it will be laid before Parliament. And when that is done, we'll have 21 days for it to go through that process, and thereafter it is then presumed that the LI has been passed. So we have come so far. We've come so far. Come so far. Regarding the handling of the fellows, the council would normally, as we have done in the past, come to AGM to seek approval for numbers and co. But coming to effect the charter and also seeing what is being practiced within the professional bodies arena, from henceforth, council will take every decision concerning fellows, of which then will be supported by the work of the fellows committee. That is indeed, when it comes to the limits, all that will be taken by the council. It will no longer come to the AGM. And as I said, as per practice, ICA, CIB, the engineers, the marketing, all of them, they carry out this conferral activity every year. And there's no number. As long as members qualify, they must not be denied. So that is the way forward when it comes to the fellowship issue. Also, I think I also need to bring to your attention the fact that council also took the decision to, in a way, to widen our membership, to approve a report that was submitted by a committee to work on bringing on board the academia. So that has also been approved. We are in the process of fashioning out the details, and hopefully we will then begin to see how our academians will be joining us, the professors and co. So that is one area that I think is taking us some time, but thank God we have managed to come to the tail end of it. As I said earlier on, the President, Dr. Edward Kwapong, will provide highlights on some more of the successes chalked during the period under review in his annual report. At this point, I want to take the opportunity to extend a special warm welcome to today's speaker, Mr. Eric Adadivo, the Chief HR Officer of Airtel TV. You're welcome. Thanks so much for accepting to carry out this assignment for us, especially knowing how busy you are. So thank you so much. We are trusting that you will share your wealth of knowledge and experience on the topic before us, which is managing employees' expectations in the current economic dispensation, coming from the HR perspective. I also want to acknowledge certain persons of personalities within our midst. I've been doing this all the time. I don't know whether I should carry on or I should have left that for you. For a start, I want us to acknowledge our President, Dr. Edward Kwapong. Dr. Edward Kwapong. Thank you. Then our Vice President, Leo Kwakupom. I also want us to acknowledge our immediate past president, Sir Arthur Wolsey. John Arthur Wolsey. Also, I think it's in order that I move and acknowledge our former Vice President, Andy Osei Okra. Yes, in our midst too, we have Mrs. Florence Hatchford, Mrs. Florence, council member. We have Isaac Saki, council member. We also have in our midst Mrs. Dorothy Osei, council member. Sorry. It's Andy, is your name. Osei, that got me confused. Sorry, I've changed your name now. Also, do we have in our midst Razak Abdu Omar, council member representing Ministry of Education. Then we have in our midst Dr. Kwame Apieji, executive member. We also have in our midst, Tim Soa. He is the recorder for the council. Yes. So, I guess it is appropriate that I come back to my high table and appreciate my good friend, Mr. Trudy is hiding. I think my tall recorder has blocked you. What is saying? Guys, Trudy, what is saying? Guys, Sorry, I didn't see you. So that's a council member, Trudy Osai, representing Ghana Employers Association, but she is with GCB. Osai. Thank you so much for the correction. Osai. Eya kurapim hwana. Enti na me struggle no. Me nya asante na me nya ada. Okay. Thanks for the correction. Thanks for drawing my attention to that. Now I think I can come to my brother, Mr. Atapedu. He was a former executive member of the council, and he was the chairman of the fellowship committee. Exactly. Nanaya, former executive council member, and is here for a very special reason. Yes, for our both of our MCs, which is Seth Jojomi. He was a former executive member of the council, former chairman of the Tema chapter as well. So do we have in our midst Mrs. Dora Sian Latte. She is a former chairman person of the Accra chapter and was also serving on the council. And she serves on the Professional Certification Board as well. Now, for Professional Certification Board. You are so far away, Florence. Florence Ajade. Please, can we acknowledge you, please? She's a member of the Professional Certification Board. A member of the Professional Certification Board. I guess with that, and I have my secretarial staff, Georgina Yaboa, who is also the former chair of the Kumasi chapter, was serving on the council, and is also here for a very special reason. Then I have my good brother Eric Duka, who is the present chairperson of the Tema chapter, and then also served on the council, and is also here for a special reason. And I have my good friend Kwame na Kwamina George, yes. Wow. To see you here is a miracle. He is the director of HR for GASEM. Yes, he's been a member for many years, but hardly do I see him at such occasions, you know. So I'm so pleased to see you. I'm so pleased to see you. I'm also happy to say that our audit serviceman, Daniel, is also here with me, with us. Daniel, good to see you. This is the first time. Obviously, my internal auditor is here. My financial manager is here. My advisory and research manager is also here with us. And then I guess I see far bright Boachi, our IT, and then obviously our own and only Mrs. Josephine Ayensujan, Corporate Affairs Manager. Okay, Jennifer is hiding at the back. And who is she sitting there with? Audrey. Okay, so for those of you who are not here, I'm mentioning their names for you to know that they are all here with us. So that is the reason why I've gone to that extent, in mentioning names. I guess at this point, I will want to bring my address to an end. But before I do that, I want to kind of make some announcements, which unfortunately is on the sad side. During the period, we lost Madam Felicia Osafo. She served as a resource person, and I'm told she even served as executive council member some years back. She passed away last year, January 9th, 2022. And what we can say is that may her soul rest in perfect peace. So also we lost another staunch member of the Institute who is in the person of Edward Aklogo. I'm sure those of you who are attending AGMs, you remember this figure. He was a giant. Make sure he contributes. And because he was such a giant, whenever we think we're going to raise some issues, I'll call him on the quiet. Discuss it with him, get him on my side or whatever, and then he will then introduce it on the floor. And in so many occasions, we won. So we miss him dearly. He also passed away last year in September. Is it on September 8th? At the time that he passed away, he was the HR manager for Lancaster Hotel in Kumasi. Yes. He worked for a long time with Zoom Lion and then moved to Lancaster Hotel. The third person that we lost also during the period was one of our old standing members, Mr. Samuel Ransford Esiedu. The last time we had in person AGM at the Accra Metropolitan Place, he was there, and we even conferred fellow on him. Certainly, he was struggling a bit at the time. That's right. But he hung in until last year, November, 26th of November 2022. So may his soul also rest in peace. And the last of it, which is also extremely sad, very, very sad. One of our students, in the person of Kofi Jan, incidentally, the very week that he passed away, myself, Dr. Edward Kwapon, and then Josephine, and then our PR consultant, we had a meeting with him here. We had a meeting with him on a Tuesday, and we knew he was traveling to his hometown to bury the mother. Come Thursday morning, the man passed away in a devastating car accident. He is, as I said, in the person of Kofi Jan, great potential. We will miss him dearly. I think in course of time, our MC will make the time for us to observe a minute silence for all of them. For now, I'll say that may their souls rest in perfect peace. To end, I'll say once again, I welcome you all to today's second virtual AGM. And thank you in advance for your participation. Enjoy the rest of the day's program. Thank you so much for your attention. God bless us all.
Those online, I can feel it, are not hearing the clap. That was a loaded speech. And just to remind ourselves that there are people online who apparently are looking and watching and listening from as far as Kumasi, the Kumasi chapter, the Tamale chapter, Sunyani chapter. We want to acknowledge them, that we know that they are online, and would appreciate that those of us privileged to be here should give the round of applause. Thank you. On the rather sore element of having lost some of our colleagues, shall we, I humbly beseech thee that you rise and we observe a minute's silence. And may the souls of our departed colleagues rest in perfect peace. Amen. Thank you. You may be seated, please. Those online, we did that for you. I'm sure that you also did it with us. Our Chief Executive Officer's speech was loaded. We need to digest it right now. So what is going to happen is we're going to invite someone for a musical interlude. Young man, sweet man in my first encounter here, Nene. And Nene is a singer, songwriter, composer. And from my interaction with him, he tells me he loves soul music, which is what I know that HR people like. We also like soul music. So if you're online, just calm down, take time, even if you're in the office. Just tell your chief executive officer to make it cool down small. And then soul music from Nene. Whilst we are listening to the music quietly, those of us here quietly, you may want to say hello to one another. Just quietly. I mean, you could just stand, but we are listening to the music. Those online are with us. Thank you very much. Nene, please. And sorry, whilst you are starting, my co-MC is here, and she will come. She will come. When she comes, you will see that she has come. So, ladies and gentlemen, Nene for us. Thank you.
When the morning light tries to hold you tight, you snuggle down inside. But when the day insists, there's no use to resist. Just open up and pray. Every move you make, and every step you take, and every word you say will help the ones you love, and those you don't think of, those who turn away. when the day insists, there's no use to resist. Just open up. But when the day insists, there's no use to resist. Just open up and pray. So God in heaven above, what are you thinking of? Is this the way you play? La 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 la. La 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 la. Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help it falling in love with you. So shall I stay? Would it be a sin that I can't help it falling in love with you? So shall I stay? Be a sin, but I can't help it falling in love with you. But I can't help it falling in love with you. Like the river goes gently to the sea, darling, so we go. Some things are meant to be. So take my hand, take my whole life too. But I can't help it falling in love with you. But I can't help it falling in love with you. But I can't help it falling in love with you. Let us begin to settle down. 1 minute more to start. Everybody settle down. 1 minute more to start. If you don't have beard like me, let's go to Tema. It's a Tema thing. Beard, yeah, Tema thing. It's a Tema thing. Beard, yeah, Tema thing. We are here to have an inventory and celebrate our auditors. Oh, that is what our chief CEO, that's what he said. So we are here today to see this life through the HR's perspective. I can see you smiling, and as you were smiling, I hope before you leave, everybody here buys an Airtel SIM card. Buy one for me too.
Nene the composer.
Yes, mommy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's give it up for him. By the time we leave here, he would have given us about 3 songs that he has composed. Thank you. He's known for that. Right. So I have the singular honor to invite our president, Dr. Edward Kwapon, to give us the annual report. So, Mr. Kwapon, the floor is yours. Thank you. Let's welcome him with a round of applause.
Hello? Yeah, okay. Members of the Governing Council, past and present, members of the committees of the Governing Council, past and present, members of the Institute, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I present to you my 4th report as the president of our great institute. When we appeared before the legislative committee of parliament on our LI, the regulations, they wanted to find out how long I've served as a president. And one cunningly commented, "Are you becoming a Mugabe of the..." I don't intend to be the Mugabe of the institute. It's just by coincidence that I'm staying on for so long. So don't get unduly alarmed. Secondly, I was advised by the technical team here to sit and deliver my speech. I wanted to do so, but I'm not particularly endowed with height. So when I'm making speeches, I prefer to stand so people can see me. Otherwise, I'll look so short and small behind the mic. So now let me go to the reason why I'm standing behind this podium. The report that I'm going to render will essentially focus on the Institute's activities for the year ended 31st December 2021, and for obvious reasons, continue to December 31st, 2022. As you might have noticed over the years, I've always used the balance scorecard as a framework for presenting the report of the Institute year after year. I'm always fascinated by the causal relationship between the lead factors and the lag factors. But I know, so naturally I should start with, say, the capacity building or the learning and growth perspective, and then move up through internal processes, customer perspective, to the financial perspective. I know that at every AGM, members are interested in the financials. So I'll start with the financials and then move down gradually. But before I do so, let me also draw your attention to the fact that the economic meltdown across the globe has had negative impact on the operations of our dear institute. An ever-increasing cost of goods and services has obviously affected our operations and thrown our budget out of gear. Cost of doing business is also rendering it difficult to stick to our budget. Now, having said so, let me turn to my balance scorecard, which I'm very fond of, starting with the financial. With regard to the financials, we are looking at ways of increasing revenue while minimizing costs. And so we would like to highlight the following efforts as special initiatives under that perspective: revenue generation and cost reduction. Here we looked at membership drive. The more members we have, the bigger the inflows. And so it has always been our ambition to increase our numbers, various categories of members. Members aside, we are also interested in the collection of fees, the subscription fee. Then we also launched the HR Complex Development Fund some years back, into which, upon appeal, you have been contributing generously towards for the expansion of the HR Center. And then we are also particularly interested in revenue from consultancy services. Of course, we also sell some products, but our main inflows cover the consultancy services that we render to organizations and agencies of government. So, with our membership drive, we managed to increase membership in all categories during the period under review, as detailed below. Fellows, we could not increase because there is a constraint on us. We need the clearance of the annual general meeting, and like the chief executive said, now the council. Chartered members moved from 115 to 255, a 122% increase. Full members from 1,845 to 2,887, 56% increase. Associate members 983 to 1,544, another 56% increase. Affiliates from 80 to 99, corporate from 14 to 17. So the overall cumulative increase is 55.8%. So I guess we did well in terms of mobilizing membership. Now, collection of fees from them. There also we experienced an improvement as the paid-up members exceeded the target of 700. For the period commencing January 2021 to December 31st, 2021, and January 2022 to December 31st, 2022, the subscription collected was 1,065 and 1,064 respectively. Members that paid their subscriptions constituted 154% of the target. So we exceeded our target by 54% over the 2-year period. The question is, did we lowball our targets? Did we lowball our targets? For which reason I challenged the chief executive to then come up with more realistic targets for collection of subscription fees. The HR Complex Development Fund, we had an amount of 25,264 and 18,633 in the account as at December 2021 and December 2022 respectively. The balances are there for us to see, except that in 2021 we had a total balance of 25,000, and in 2022 it had dropped to 18,633. Members, it looks as if our membership is experiencing some kind of fatigue in subscribing to the appeal for funds. So let us go back as ambassadors of the institute and seek to, ginger interest in contributing to the fund. Because as you all see, we are expanding. The first floor is now virtually done, and we are hopeful that we will continue with the next floor. We need space. This morning when I went to the office of the chief executive, I wanted a place to sit to sign some checks. And I realized that his table was like a primary class 6 table. Now, another area for raising revenue was the area of professional HR services, consultancy services. So we provided consultancy services to a number of institutions and companies. One, Upswing Music Company Limited, that was in training. ARB Apex Bank, training in performance management. Ghana International School, training, leading and managing people, the HR way. Volta Lake Transport, compensation and total reward management. University of California. Hey, wait a minute. University of California, I'm right. Salary survey. Better logistics, on we go. So we had the opportunity to provide training and other consultancy services to organizations of repute in the Ghanaian market. So in this regard, we continue to encourage you as members to recommend the Institute to your organizations and other organizations in the area of provision of HR consultancy services. So as a result of these, I want to talk about the financial report as at 31st December 2021. I mean a summary of it and same for 2022. Income and expenditure, we don't do profit and loss because we are not a profit-making institution. 2020, the income was 1.6 or 1.7 million, expenditure 1.58, a surplus of 88,527. 2021, income of 2.9 million, expenditure of 2.6 million, surplus of 311,000. So the total income increased from 1.6 in 2020 to 2.9 in 2021, a net increase of about 74%. Total expenditure for the same period increased by 1 million approximately, which was 64% increase over the previous years. Okay, the institute therefore recorded a net surplus of 311,000 cedis in 2021, as against 2020, a net surplus of 88,733. Financial report for the year ending 31st December 2022, same, a net increase of 31%. I wouldn't want to bore you with the details. Expenditure also increased by about 113%. Further details of the audited financial performance of the Institute has been sent to you prior to this morning's meeting. So you have the opportunity to discuss again this during the business session. So we've dealt with the financial. Let us look at the next perspective of the model, the customer perspective. Here we adverted our mind to the following areas: stakeholder engagements, media engagements, collaboration with partners, the Institute's magazine, the HR magazine. With regard to stakeholder engagement, we continue to experience a stable engagement with government agencies, particularly in the area of serving on panels and committees, such as the Public Services Commission, the Ghana Audit Service, the Internal Audit Service, the National Labour Commission, Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, the Ghana Insurance Commission, Ghana Revenue Authority, the Head of Civil Service, and on we go. So we have been very visible, engaging with partners and stakeholders in rendering valuable services to them, including the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations, Institute of Chartered Accountants, Chartered Institute of Bankers. It's a tall list. Additionally, the Institute had representation in serving on interview panels and as speakers and guest speakers at several meetings, workshops, summits, and conferences. It's a tall list, 1.5 pages. I will not go through that. I'll make it available to you. Media engagement. In line with media engagement, the President, Vice President, Chief Executive Officer granted interviews on several FM stations, including our faithful Joy TV, Joy News, TV3, GTV, ADR, to mention a few. In addition to the above, several adverts and publications were placed in the Daily Graphic, Business and Financial Times, My Joy Online, City Online, Ghana Web, and so on. So we have engaged the media over the period for good reason. and for the expected benefits, the visibility. The Institute's collaborative efforts with partners led to several speaking opportunities during the period under review, including Ashasi University. Ashasi, you are here, right? Central University, Methodist University, University of Ghana, University of Cape Coast, just to mention a few. We also churned out the various editions of our magazine, the HR magazine. We're expecting the next one, hopefully, at the end of this quarter. Mr. Chief Executive. Are we? Now let's extend to the internal processes. How we strengthened our operational processes, our internal operational processes, and the governance regime of the Institute. I'll touch on the introduction of quarterly audit system, which is required by law now, introduction of operational manual, review of existing committees, job re-evaluation, salary survey and salary structure, and introduction of awards for meritorious service, all aimed at ensuring that we have built the appropriate processes for the delivery of our mandate. So, quarterly audit system. Since the engagement of the internal auditor in July 2021, the Institute has been producing quarterly audit reports for the President and the Internal Audit Service. In addition, a yearly audit plan is being prepared for 2023. Operational manual. During the period under review, written policies on consultancy service and start commission were developed and operationalized. Existing committees. We have reconstituted committees of the Governing Council, I think about 9 in all. We have the National Executive Committee, the HR Committee, Communication Committee, Publicity and Events Committee, Audit Committee, Finance Committee, HR Standards Committee. That's an ad hoc committee. After they have delivered their mandate, they will then fall back to the HR committee. Then the Professional Certification Board, Education Advisory and Research Committee, Legal, Ethics and Disciplinary Committee, Infrastructure and ICT Committee. As you were preparing this address, I questioned myself, aren't we having too many committees? Because anytime a committee meets, you know what happens? It hurts our pocket. We need to dip our hands into our finances and pay them sitting allowance. So the Governing Council, for instance, is pushing for virtual meetings as against in person, so then we can have the allowance payable. And I guess with time we can even forfeit the allowance. Hey, sorry. Right. We've also undertaken the job evaluation just to make sure that internal relativities and external competitiveness in salary administration within the Institute has been done and done properly. So we went out of our way to do the salary survey. So we'll see how competitive we are. I think the staff of the Secretariat are now highly motivated. Mr. Chief Executive. Yeah, during the period under review, the following staff were also recognized for their years of dedicated service to the Institute, by way of motivating them and letting them know that we appreciate their contribution and loyalty to the Institute. Madam Audrey Sasu Apia, "20 years meritorious service to the Institute." And yet she's so young, Ebenezer Ofori, 10 years of meritorious service. Josephine Ayesu Jan, 10 years. Indefatigable. 12. Oh, sorry, so 12. Ama Ping Pong, 10 years. And our newly married John Ni Mate, John Ni Mate, 10 years. There comes a time you need to hang your boots. So he's now married and he's very committed to his marriage. The final perspective is the learning and growth, which I call the capacity building. And here, normally, under the original model, we are looking at organizational capital, human capital, and information capital. So under this perspective, our focus was on the following areas: the legislative instrument, without which we don't have a legal basis. Of course, the law has been passed, and people have come to me. We don't see any difference between the institute before and after the passage of your act. And I said, yes, electricity no get leg. The cable metal they carry on. Do you remember that advert? Without the airline, you cannot operationalize the parent law. So we are waiting for that. And I think we are moving in the right direction. And hopefully by the end of the year, we should have the airline in place. I pray. So every morning when you go on your knees making supplications to the Almighty God, remember our airline. We need it. All right. Then the staffing of the secretariat also engaged our attention, raising of competency level, not just within, but even without. The continuing professional training also came on board. We also continue to open branches. And then we are conferring fellowship on our members. We did capacity building in-house. During the period, that's the 2-year period, we also purchased a vehicle, and then we are expanding the HR complex, our building. Like the chief executive said, on the 19th of this month, we met with the subcommittee on subsidiary legislation to look at our LI, and it went very well. We had assurances. And within 3 days, the AG's office came back with all the amendments made to the draft document that we sent to them. Strengthening of the secretariat. We now have an in-house, an internal auditor in the person of Johnson Ofori Mensah. Auditors are like policemen. At times they are not liked. But Johnson, if you are here, let us see you. I've blown your cover, apologies. Then we have William Amega, accounts officer on secondment from the Controller and Accountants General. Is that right? Mr. Amega, are you here? No? Okay. Harriet Tamaklo, we recruited for the front desk. Mavis Edujemfi on secondment as an IT officer. Desmond Agbeve, yeah. National Service Personnel, and then you have Tim Muti Sowa. It's a very heavy name. Timothy, you are the recorder for the council at our council meetings. Are you here? Yes, sir. Oh, let us see you. Let us see you. For fear of boring you, I won't go through the number of professional certification programs that we did over the period. Continuing professional education, we also did designing and implementation of performance management systems, behavioral interviewing, HR professional and legal compliance, compensation, benefits and total rewards, making HR a strategic business partner. Yeah, let me skip some of the. We also opened a new branch, Mr. Chief Executive, at Techiman. Right. Now we are going to confer fellowship. We've worked towards this, and we are now going to confer the fellowship on the following: Mr. Isaac Saki, a member of the Governing Council. Mrs. Nanaya Chum, former council member. Mr. Eric Duka. I've never seen the boss. How do you pronounce the boss? Boss. Okay. Mr. Eric Boss Duka, Chairman Tema Chapter. Mrs. Georgina Yebwa, Chairman Kumasi Chapter. Dora Siaulati, Accra Chapter. And finally, Emmanuel Kosa, immediate past Accra Chapter Chairman. I want to draw your attention to the fact that we sent out a note in May asking interested persons to apply for the fellow status, and that was to be directed to the fellows committee of the council. We purchased a vehicle in March 2022, but it's a long story, so I'll leave it at that. The annex is ongoing, like I said earlier on. Now, having said this, giving you the history, let us now be forward-looking. So, outlook for the year 2023-2024. The Institute will continue pursuing its growth agenda, tapping into opportunities in the regions for increased membership and patronage of programs. Members, I go to institutions as part of my consultancy, and I meet a whole lot of HR practitioners. They are not members of our institute, despite the passage of the law and all that. My appeal to you is to begin the drive from here, even in Accra, before you go to the regions. People are sitting right under your nose. Low-hanging fruits in Accra. You are not plugging those ones. We are going out to the regions, to Techiman and to Sunyane. So let us start. Charity begins at home. Let us start the drive from Accra. The regulations to operationalize the act has been mentioned already. Research activity, we are going to continue with agencies like the Ghana Statistical Service and the universities to establish benchmarks for the practice of human resource in Ghana. What is the benchmark for the minimum number of training sessions for an employee in an organization? What is the benchmark for HR cost as a percentage of the total operating expense of a company? What is the training cost? What is the portion of training in the HR costs, operating costs? And so on and so forth. We can pursue some of these things and make the institute more appealing and attractive to our stakeholders. Because I read once in a while, I go to the site of Cihrm and I read, and they have all these benchmarks. So why are we not doing same? So we are like a maintenance administration. What we have, we hold on to, but you don't seek to expand our territory. So please, going forward, we're going to ask some of you to carry out some of these research assignments for the benefit of our institute. We also seek to integrate our IT system for effectiveness. Collaboration we will seek. In fact, we've gone beyond the boundaries of Ghana to collaborate with a firm in Nigeria to carry out conferences, summits, research work, and the like. They are called GODP, Nigeria. We are here to sign a memorandum of understanding with them. We also pursue the HR Star Awards. We haven't done it for a long time. It's all because we don't have money, because it costs a lot of money to organize such an award. At times, is it just the money? We must go beyond the financial consideration to look at other intrinsic benefits to the institution. Phase 3 of the building we will pursue. So in conclusion, members of our great Chartered Institute, and distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to stress that we are steadfast in our determination to make our institute the professional HR body of choice. So many of them are being bandied around these days, but we should be the HR body of choice. Come on board as institutional citizens and not spectators in this effort. Now, my wish then to you is that let us, as members of this noble institute, seek to be the gaze, the shine of the time, wherever we find ourselves. May the good Lord always be ahead of us to lead us, beside us to protect us, behind us to inspire, within us to inspire again, and bless us. May the good Lord bless us in our practice. Amen.
A resounding amen. Let's give it up for our president once more. Thank you so much, Dr. Edward Kopon. So he's asking us to shine wherever we are, we find ourselves, and then we shouldn't be spectators. We should be involved in whatever the institute does. What I picked from his speech also, and we should be excited about it, that we have our membership has increased significantly, and then also our revenue, of course, with a corresponding increase in expenditure. I believe because of our projects, the building project going on. For those of us who are not aware, let me just mention that our president has launched a book. He wrote a book. The title is HR Thought Leadership. We can find copies at the reception. So from here, please grab a copy and you would not regret buying it. Thank you so much. Would once again invite our own Nene to come and give us a short interlude. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Nenena, but for the few minutes I'm going to perform now, you can call me Nene Kwapon. You can call me President Nene Kwapon. I'm not going to be a Mugabe, but we agree my government has been good to you. We have new branches, we have comfort fellows, we have purchased vehicles, and we've passed HR laws. We have built an ultra-modern facility for HR, oh, for HR. Can you see the world through the eye of the HR? I have launched a book, go and check it too. Can you see the world through the eye of the HR? I have launched a book, you should get it too. HR, heart of the nation. HR, the heart of every firm. HR, the heart of your companies. HR, my name is Nene Kwapon, talking about HR. May the good Lord bless us all, and always vote for me to be your president. I don't want to be like Mugabe, so vote for me, vote for me, vote for me. When I took the mic and I changed my name, the president himself said, "This boy again." This is a song for everyone. I want to tell you, married an HR, your life will be sweeter. For the HR, for the HR, my name is Nene Kwapon.
Nene, a round of applause for Nene. He spoke, he delivered a speech. And Nene, round of applause again, please. Round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, with what Nene has done, I have to be selective with my words. He can easily sing a song over something I'm saying. Nene, please, I beg you. Between you and I, we are buddies, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, online, Techiman. If you are online, just know that we acknowledge you. Techiman, if you are online, just know that we are acknowledging you and we appreciate your presence. That is for us. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a good song. That is opening up us for just what we are here for. Managing expectations of employees in the current economic dispensation. The HR perspective. The HR perspective. I'm going over that for those online. Managing expectations of employees in the current economic dispensation, the HR perspective. And being a retired man, on behalf of the retirees, my mind is on haircuts. So we will see how things go with the expectations. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a wonderful guy. And my chapter president, chairman, has been laughing some way. I don't know whether it's because we are coming to talk about expectations of employees, and the person going to speak to us is called Eric. So I think he's feeling like every Eric is fine, big man. But please, this is another Eric, Mr. Eric Duka, chalk. Okay, please. Anyway, for me, I just got a whisper when we were going around, when Nene was playing earlier on, that Mr. Dadebo is from my hometown, so I'm satisfied. Eric, that one is not your care. This one, we are all from Anyako. So I've got to know that he's a kinsman. I'm sure you're going to hear that. That's about all I know about him, apart from the Airtel Mobitel. So we're going to invite somebody who seems to understand and know this gentleman to tell us a little about him, so that when we are receiving his message, we can appreciate it from whence he cometh. She's already laughing with me. Mrs. Josephine Ayesujan, our corporate affairs. She will introduce Mr. Eric Adadebo.
Good morning to the in-person and virtual family members. We say you are welcome. I would like to introduce the guest speaker. He is Mr. Eric Sewanu Adadebo Esquire. He is the Chief Human Resources Officer of Airtel Ghana Limited. Eric is a strategic and experienced human resource professional whose key strengths are rooted in hands-on experience and insights gained from over 20 years of line management roles. He has expertise across disciplines such as employee relations, industrial relations, performance management, total rewards, organizational development and design, talent management, learning and development, inclusion and diversity, HR compliance, and HR information systems. He is personally the Chief Human Resources Officer at Airtel Ghana Limited, one of the leading telecom operators in the country. Born in Keta, Ghana, Eric Adadivo earned a Bachelor of Science degree in biochemistry from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in 1990, and an Executive Masters of Business Administration, Banking and Finance from the same university in 2008. He began his career as a graduate management training in supply operations with Guinness Ghana Breweries Limited, a subsidiary of the global beverage giant Diageo PLC. He transitioned through many roles within Guinness Ghana Breweries Limited, such as technical manager, packaging manager, and brewing manager. In 2008, Eric was appointed talent manager to commence his career in human resources. He moved on to become the HR business partner for the commercial functions of Guinness Ghana. His prowess led to him being recognized as one of the top 40 HR practitioners doing big things in 2018, and HR Team of the Year in 2019 by the HR Focus Awards, a reputable HR entity. Eric is a firm believer in self-development. In 2014, he earned a postgraduate diploma in labor and industrial relations from the Association of Business Executives in the UK, a Bachelor of Laws degree, LLB, from the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration in 2019, and he was called to the Ghana Bar this year upon earning a Barrister at Law from the Ghana School of Law. He is a member of the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management, Ghana. Eric is married and loves to travel far and near. May I introduce to you, or may I call onto the podium, your guest speaker, Mr. Eric Adadivo.
Thank you. And whilst he's coming, let's give a round of applause, please. Round of applause. And I want to acknowledge those online. We have over 170 people online. Over 170 people online. So, Mr. Adadivo, please, the podium.
Thank you very much. I must say, I'm really privileged and really excited as well to be invited to the AGM, even more so to be given the opportunity to speak to a subject which I believe most of us are grappling with or are dealing with, on a day-to-day basis. Before I continue, I want to acknowledge the president of the institute, the chief executive officer, council members, and distinguished invited guests. And of course, my colleagues. I believe, and as I said earlier on, that the subject matter, managing expectations of employees in the current economic dispensation should be a thought-engaging subject for all of us in HR, given where we are as a country. I would want to let you know that I'm going to tackle this subject by giving an overview of the economy from the global perspective right to our nation. And I will go further to speak about the contractual relationship between the employer and the employee, and a stint on the mindset of employees. Thereafter, I'll spend some time to talk about the expectations of employees. Then I'll give my half-penny suggestion as to how or the strategies we should deploy to deal with those expectations in the context of the economy we experience in Ghana and globally. Thereafter, I'll conclude with a few words. By way of introduction, I would say that Unum, which is an American-based insurance firm, did some work to look at how employees were coping around the globe in the current economic dispensation. And a whooping 60% and more were of the view that they were struggling financially. Part of their work was also to find out what percentage of employers extended any special support to their employees. And that figure came to about 35%. We know, however, in Ghana, that last year, the government, in response to the cries, introduced, I think, about 15% of base salary as COLA to government employees. And that was later replaced this year by a 30% salary review. So that speaks to the kind of challenge employees are going through. On a global front, we know that our salary reviews are way behind inflation. In Ghana, late last year, inflations were in excess of 50. Today we are talking about probably 40, 45. And I do know that last year into this year, I don't know about institutions, but a few check I did, we never had salary reviews in excess of 15%. So the pressure is on our employees. I also know that globally, because of the shortage of funds, the number one SDG, which is to reduce extreme poverty, is at risk. By the end of COVID-19, about 17 million people were brought back to extreme poverty levels. And there is no way, as though that was not bad enough, we now have the Ukraine, Russia, which is diverting all resources, or much resources, and therefore the number one SDG goal is not going to happen by the year 2030. As I said earlier on, in Ghana, inflation is now hovering around 43%. That was the last check by the Statistical Board in May. The lending rate by financial institutions is now hovering around 25, or the upside of 25. Still looking at the economy on the global front, as I said earlier on, as though COVID was not bad enough, then came the Ukraine, Russia, and we are feeling the impact across the globe. As a result of inflation, the central banks are tightening monetary control. Was it earlier this year, the technology firms decided to cut jobs. By quarter one, end of quarter one, we had lost over 200,000 jobs in the tech industry. what's happening in Africa. Africa is crying on the back of the Ukraine-Russia war. Our leaders were out in Russia and Ukraine to have a conversation to see whether we can assure the inflow of grain. I'm not too sure how successful they were at that. As a result of the increasing poverty, we are seeing increasing political instability across our region. Obviously, when you have no reason or nothing to lose, you become a victim or you become a candidate for all these extremists. In Ghana, unemployment continues to increase. The government made certain intervention, but I dare say that a good number of them have come to an end after the 3 years commitment. And we have several of our people back on the job market. And I'm sure most of you would have had calls from your relations asking for job openings. I don't have to talk about our currency and the inflation which I spoke about earlier. So this, as it were, defines the environment in which we are operating. As our employees feel the pressure, so do we as organizations feel the pressure. Our margins are on a daily basis squeezed. But why blame employees when they have a valid contract and the terms of the contract ought to be met? On the basis of that contract, they do have expectations. And we've got to meet those expectations. As a result of that contract, I'll speak to a few of the mindset employees would have. The growth of the business is not the tax of the employee. It is the tax of the employer. As an employee, I have my skills, and that is what you must be paying for. I expect that when I come to work for you, I should have career development. You should invest. And that's why I was smiling when the president said we need to make certain inroads in establishing certain best practice, i.e., what should be the HR cost, what percentage of revenue should we dedicate to training, and what have you. So those are the expectations or the mindset of an average employee. Now, what are some of the expectations of them? Every employee will expect that when I come to work, or in this contract I have with my employer, I should have clear communication of what is expected of me. I should have a very positive work environment. Workload and resources must match. In other words, when you give me the work, you must equally give me the tools for me to be able to deliver. Irrespective of the challenges of the economy, I expect a degree of work security. We also expect that our employers would act ethically and that there will be fairness and transparency at the workplace. The big one of all, we expect that you pay us competitively Otherwise, we will walk. So these are some of the expectations of our employees. And I've been saying to a few colleagues that when the economy is what it is and growth of our organizations is difficult, our employees, as much as some of them may appreciate, it is to us they will run first. Okay? My rent has doubled. The school fees is tough. Our employees become very unhappy. If you have unions, there's agitation. Because, as I said, if inflation is hitting above 40 and the average salary review is between 10 to 15, it only means that year on year, our employees are becoming more and more challenged financially. Okay? But it's no fault of ours. We have an organization to manage. So how do we leverage the relationship and make sure that this critical factor of production, in actual fact, the only animate of the factors of production, how do we relate with these counterparts of ours, our employees, to ensure that we are able to offset the pressure, go through the difficult time, and make sure that we come out stronger? Because we believe that the current climate is not here to stay forever. I will now, therefore, focus on a few strategies that we believe when we employ, we can bring some understanding to our workplaces, and therefore we can manage the expectation of our employees. We can manage the risk of losing our talents, those with institutional memory and those who, for their input, generate the revenue and keeps us going. When we recognize that the relationship we have or the partnership we have with our employees, there's an equal partnership, then the first of the strategies will be that we should have very transparent communication. What do I mean by transparent communication? I mean that when the going is tough, right, and we have to, for example, look for a strategic investor, when the board has made this decision in the boardroom, we have a responsibility to share some of this with our employees. Gone are the days when we taught employees or such a topic was at the preserve of senior management or at the board level, because they have a stake in this enterprise and they need to know what we are doing. So we should be able to maintain an honest and open communication channel with our employees. We need to explain the challenges that the company is going through, the organization is going through. We do not have to take for granted that they get it. We should be able to speak to, if it's a manufacturing organization, for example, and the price of your fuel has more than tripled, or in certain instances, RFY here has gone beyond 5 times. And what that means to your cost of production, and what that means eventually to your margin. We should be able to have some of those conversations. Nothing is off the script when we are engaging and speaking to the challenges the organization is going through with our employees. The second then is the regularity of giving updates. The regularity of giving updates. I will recommend that at the minimum, you have a once a quarter town hall where you have the opportunity to have the leadership team speak to how the business is performing, the performance, the targets you set at the beginning of the year. How are you coping? Are we on track? And when you have your KPIs, are we on track for revenue? Are we on track for bottom line? Are we on track for the volumes? Are we on track for the membership we want to draw into our institute? Are we on track for any of those? So when you do this on a quarterly basis, obviously, employees will see where we are heading towards. And therefore, when it comes to conversations as to salary review and as to bonus, it becomes an easier conversation. Besides the quarterly town hall, I also recommend that we have focus group sessions. What I mean by focus group sessions, it's a group of probably 5, maximum, probably 10, maximum 15 of employees from various functions that would have maybe a breakfast session with the CEO or even other members of the leadership team where they can get a bit more personal and you can have a real conversation. That's against a large group of meeting during the town halls. At such sessions, you can even have some suggestions coming through and people get very personal. So besides you giving some information, it's an opportunity you must not lose to also have suggestions coming from employees. And that, for example, makes them start to feel as being respected and a sense of ownership as we journey through the tough patch. When we are going through difficult moments, it is also important that we get smart at the deliverables of our employees. So hitherto, you will say performance management, you set your objectives at the beginning of the year, we do a check-in, a formal check-in half year, and then as the year comes to an end, we are tidying up to see what was delivered and therefore who gets what by way of salary review and bonuses. But because with all the financial challenges, employees are stressed and there's a high tendency for them to take their eyes off the ball. The recommendation is that we break those objectives or deliverables down. We do more frequent checking. So you could, if it's a sales target, you probably want to look at it from a quarter, probably to a monthly. And let's see how we are doing so that we can have quicker opportunity to course correct in case we're deviating from the target. A certain percentage of our time is focused on delivering the obvious, whilst strategically we have cross-functional projects going on to look at the future. I guess that's what most of us do. But in times like this, when survival is the issue, you want to see how much priority you put on what you ought to do to take you through this difficult patch as against the time and the energy you are putting on a 5-year plan. We don't want to create a scenario where our employees start to ask, what's the relevance of this? When we have not dealt with the immediate. So you want to see how much you vary your time or your resources on a long-term planning or long-term agenda vis-a-vis seeing us or seeing the organization through what is facing us. In difficult times, we know when we go to cost cutting, one of the very first places we go is training. Yeah? We don't have to shut down. We don't have to shut down our training budget. But there are a few smart ways we can ensure that we still have the opportunity to pull our employees together so that it is not a case that it is so bad that no development intervention had been done this year. So one of the smartest things we did was to, because we're functional experts, okay, we floated around a few topics and asked our colleagues to select and do some homework as to those that they can speak to. Okay? And so members of the leadership team became leaders as teachers. And we spoke about, we had colleagues of mine presenting on issues like, very basic issues, career management, others talking about how to manage your finances and stuff like that. You could do it virtually, which we did, and you can also do in person. With a few bottles of water, you can do that. It only means that we are caring about our people. My CEO, during these difficult times, asked us that we print a thank you card. Okay? And what he encouraged us to do was to look out for not necessarily results, but effort. Effort. The attitude. And when we caught people in such moments, and we will give a thank you card. Okay? And that did make a difference. The sense of recognition in these times is critical and makes a lot of difference. And mentioning out people when they do not expect it in meetings, those kind of mentions also give the sense that I am valued, I'm appreciated. These people really care, and it's not out of choice that a few of the interventions or the reward percentages have not been increased. They do care about us. It's a difficult patch we are going through, and I better stay in here and walk through, because at the end, I will be rewarded. Another intervention which we found out to work very well has been, COVID. Anytime we mention COVID, it's as though we talk about the negative side of COVID. But boy, oh boy, COVID leapfrog technology, right? So that a good percentage of us have come to appreciate flexible working and remote working. So if you are going through a tough patch, and therefore we cannot increase allowances, and the fuel price is going through the roof, can we explore flexible working, remote working? Okay. Maybe it's very interesting that the rush hour, we are all rushing in to get to the office by 8. And then we are also back in the rush hour at 5, finding our way home. Is there a possibility we can arrange for people to come in at 9 and therefore do the 8 hours and then close? Or if you came in at 7, probably can leave. 7 means that you're coming ahead of the rush hour, and therefore you leave earlier, ahead of the rush hour, 3 o'clock. So all of this, when we engage in some of these interventions, it communicates that we do care about our employees, and they in turn would care about us. Besides that, such interventions will also reduce absenteeism. And I dare say that it may also reduce your medical bills, because people will generally have a better sense of well-being. I will also speak to the fact that at such moments, maybe through the focus sessions or any other intervention where we involve our employees in decision making. So for example, we put a cross session together, ask them to brainstorm on a subject matter. How do you penetrate the trade? How do you increase your market share? How do you reduce cost reduction initiatives? All of this, the fact that they are being asked to work on such interventions, and when adopted, they are recognized that this intervention came from this team. All of that gives a sense of belonging and a sense of ownership, and indeed, it does drive up retention. We've also said that, I think we tried this during the COVID period, when I was really surprised when we're doing such sessions and people had to speak to some of the challenges, and they were speaking to mental health issues. Right? People were talking about anxiety, people were struggling to sleep. And when the finances are difficult, we are hearing of such things again. Do I have to take the children out of this school? Do I have to relocate and change my accommodation? So what we did was to speak to one or two industrial psychologists, and we made their numbers available. We said we were not interested to know whether you call or not, but these numbers were available just in case you wanted someone to speak to. Okay? So besides encouraging and asking them the open office, open door policy, we also put the professional available and said, call and have a conversation if you thought that was helpful. And we encouraged them, and that apparently a good number of them did take that offer up. So by and large, I think I've spoken to about 7, 8 of the strategies. I do recognize that we have very different organizations and workplaces, and therefore it is not a case that one heart will fit all. But I do believe that you could tweak some of these strategies and make them suitable as you may find them for your organizations. I also want to spend another few, probably 2, 3, 4 minutes to speak about we calling for help as employers. Remember, it is a partnership we have with our employees. And therefore, when we do have these meetings with them, we should also take the opportunity to ask for help. We should ask our employees to be proactive in these difficult moments. They should show more ownership. They should identify cost-saving interventions and make those available to us because we are ready to work at them. The uncertainties of the present moment also will mean that within very short time frame, we may have to make changes to some policies or some plans. We should ask our employees to embrace change. Because if there is anything constant in these times, it is indeed change. So they should not take it personal that we may not have engaged thoroughly before bringing in some change intervention. We should ask them to embrace change. These times may well mean that maybe, just maybe, we may not be running at full capacity for production outlets, for example, because demand has gone down. If that is the case, we'll encourage our employees to make sure that they fill those empty spaces that they may not be busy, that they may not be doing overtime, with some personal development interventions. You should build your skills. Beyond that, they should also put themselves up if there is a need to do any cross-functional work, because in that you build your skills. One of the greatest opportunities to build your skills is on the job. So therefore, if there is a project going on in marketing, in finance, or wherever, you want to put up your hand. Let's encourage them to do that, because when they do, you build your muscles and you increase your market value. The last of which is that we should call on our employees to be supportive of each other. We should encourage buddying. If you are going through a tough time, you may want to speak to someone, and maybe your colleague is the one you want to speak to. But we should also encourage our employees to actively look out for any differences in behavior so they can speak to it. Why is he coming back to work so late every day when he used to be the first person? Why is he looking so quiet when he used to be the guy who cheers us up and gets us going in the office? You just want to, speak to a colleague, because when we are together, we stand a better chance to brave the storm. Having said that, I will conclude by giving a few comments. A strong management of employee expectations definitely will reduce attrition. In other words, that will increase retention. Because at this time, when you don't have that money to spare, it is not that you want to now go into out there spending money and spending time in recruiting. So you want to make sure that a strong management of the expectations invariably will lead to retention, and you can save that money and reduce the HR cost. Obviously, employees that feel valued, respected, and trusted will give off their discretionary efforts, and that trickles to the bottom line. When employees' expectations are managed, obviously they are a lot happier, they are a lot engaged, and you see that in your productivity. They will not spend much of the time talking about how difficult the time is. They will put the 8 hours into real work. That comes true. And as I said earlier on, when we are able to reduce attrition, when we are able to dial up retention, when we are able to dial up engagement, HR can also show their contribution in these difficult times to say, I had cut down on human resource expenses, and that on the fact that I had cut down on my resourcing costs, I had cut down on my training costs, and that kind of thing. Will you inch that percentage by 1 or 2 so I can give a more realistic annual review. On that note, I say thank you very much. And any questions? Thank you.
Yes. Wow. If you believe it, let's give another round of applause. Thank you so much, Mr. Dadebo. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. In my Bible study, and I'm sure in the Quranic studies, in my Bible study, there is some aspect of new teaching as inductive Bible study, where you hear, you listen, you want to observe certain key elements in it, and then you go to reflection. You are reflective about what you've read or heard, and then you seek to apply. I think that, in my opinion, what has been shared is so much good for us. Some of it looks like we've been hearing it, as if we've been hearing it, but the delivery today has made it much clearer. And I believe that if we go reflect over it, we will make it possible that its application will become something easier to us. So I want to entreat all of us, and I would invite Dora, my co-MC, not as a way of recapping, but to share some ideas and see whether you got it in that direction. Dora. And those online, we hear there are about 300 plus online. We are grateful to them. Shall we give them a round of applause? Because it looks like they are the numbers and they are the reason for this. Us together in person, we are less than 50, I want to say. So those online are the people. And they are, as Dr. Kwapon was saying, and as our guest speaker, Mr. Dadebo, has entreated us, are the people to put this to practice. Your few comments, Dora.
All right. So I support what you have said. I mean, we've heard this time and time over, but today's has been very refreshing, and I believe we are going to make use of it. Thank you.
Right. I like to state that we should make the employees, the objective from us is to make the employees feel a part of the company, make the employees see and feel happy. In fact, deliberately have the insight to want to make them happy. And he's giving an array of things. I want to believe that this whole session will still be recorded, that we can easily go back to it and then take lots of notes from the guest speaker's notes. For those online, we want to entreat you. We have a very important session, second session, and it is important that as members of CIHRM, we do not just leave our computers or whatever we are using to watch this program. We're going to take a small break, but that will take us into the business session and be a part of the business session. The reason I say be a part of the business session is that the delivery from Mr. Dadebo can be further digressed. It can appear somewhere. And then you also have an opportunity to be learning how to carry things on at your local point of view. There are lots of things. I believe if I want to say it, it will look like I'm a facilitator like Mr. Leonard Kwakupum, the Vice President. So I would humbly try to comport myself and say that we are grateful to you, Mr. Dadebo. It's been good. It's been real good. Plenty of food for thought. But still, please, Josephine was trying to push me and saying that you are from Keta, and I said you are from Anyako. I just want people to understand that Choco and Osu are still Accra. So they should just calm down. So we are all brothers. I like Mr. Adadebo. I'm looking for some common thing so that people will say that, oh, the guest speaker was Seto somebody, you know. So it's easy. But thank you very, very much. I think that you've given us something for the next year. And I believe that we will apply. The agenda is to seek to apply. Mr. Park, if you keep on laughing, I'll call your name. But I'm sure the agenda is for us to apply what he has shared with us. Airtel Tigo is doing things, and I believe they are doing things. When you relate to them, you will see it. So I'm sure that we've got something good. So we'll take a break session. Would you be ready for us whilst we take a break session so that we get to our business? If there are any questions for Mr. Adadebo, not for me, not for President. Mr. Adadebo, he is going to leave us, hopefully, no notes. Okay. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, in person, just 5 minutes, and Nene would keep us here. Online, please, we are encouraged with your presence. Don't leave us online. I hear you on Facebook. I hear you are on Zoom, and I hear the numbers are beyond 300. We will make it. It is our institute, and we'll make sure that we are giving back to the institute today. Your employer would be happy you are watching this and learning something. Show him your notes. Thank you very much. Right. So we take a break, please. Yes, sir. So, oh, Efo, Leki, Apemeto. Devio. Hey, Nene Malo. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I know I may have cast. If you dig further, you will realize that there are issues, but the portals are fillable. So please, we'll take a break. Thank you very much. Online, please, just 5 minutes and we are back. There's music to keep you online, please. There's music to keep you online. Thank you very much.
No biatanyese, no biatanyese, no biatanye será. Blena wobe me apelo, no biatanye. Machona o, lolo vava dele menye. 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 Machona o, no biatanye se, no biatanye se. No biatanye sela, blena wobe me apelo. No biatanye se, no biatanye se, no biatanye sela, Plena woman, mea pelo, mea pelo, yeah, mea pelo. I see the crystals, windows fall, and the beauty of it all is when the sun comes shining through to make those rainbows in my mind. When I think of you sometime, I wanna spend some time with you, just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us, just the two of us, just the two of us. Building castles in the sky, just the two of us, oh, you and I, just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us, oh, you and I, just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us, oh, you and I. Derek and Eric, yeah, Eric and Eric, oh yeah, na na na. La la la. After you finish taking the pictures, I will take mine too. My name is Nenena Adadevo, yeah. Nenena Adadevo, yeah. Just the two of us. Just the two of us, oh, you and I. Just the two of us, building castles in the sky. Just the two of us, oh, you and I. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us, oh, you and I. La 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 la. La 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 la. We look for land, no time for tease. Wasted water, so that is. It'll make no flowers grow. Good things might come to those who wait, but not for those who wait too late. We gotta go for all we know. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us, you and I. Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us, you and I. Just the two of us. We could make it if we tried. Just the two of us, you and I. Davi me de kuku mable koko de kakala bibi nae. Davi me de kuku mable koko de kakala bibi nae. Ayo, Davi me de kuku mable koko de kakala bibi nae. Davi me de kuku mable. Say, rock me, baby. Rock me out here on the floor. Rock me, baby. Rock me till I want no more, yeah. Oh, that's sweet.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's gather around now. It's time for the business session. Everybody come over here. We about to start. We about to start. We about to start. Everybody come over here now. We about to start. We about to start the business session.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for spending time on the online. Thank you very much. Just a little information that the e-brochure for the AGM is online. The e-brochure for the AGM is online, and it is available on the website, and it will also be sent onto the various platforms shortly, but it's available on the website. Okay. The live streaming is on agm.cihrmghana.org. Please note that live streaming on agm.cihrmghana, cihrmghana, one word, .org, please. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for spending time in front of your panels. For those online and for those of us here, we are grateful to God. We've had a good first session. We are going to the business session. The business session, we are going to invite, I've seen some of them there already. Mr. Wilson, immediate past president, please take a seat here, please. Mr. President, I wanted to give you some, yes, Mr. Wilson, please sit down. Please sit here. Please sit. There's a last person to come, and a wonderful, Mr. President, I'm giving you a wonderful madam to sit by you. She's a council member, Mrs. Hatchful, if you don't mind. Please, Mrs. Hatchful, please take there. Mr. President, you want to sit where you are, or you be in the middle? Yes, please. In fact, that was my intention, but I was a bit, worried that you might. Ms. Hatchful, you are welcome. Thank you. Please remember that I'm your friend, and the president is only your mate, your colleague. We are online, Mr. President. I am handing over the session at this stage to council, and it will be led by the president. So he's going to take over and go through the business session. I've mentioned already for those online that the e-brochure is available online on the website, or you just look at the agm.cihrmghana. cihrmghana is one word, .org. Please, you can access the e-brochure. But we are into the business session. I would only come in when there are little interludes to be made. Otherwise, this is a business session, and all members must be attentive to it, because that's the will that carries us for the coming year. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Seto. Members, I welcome all of you to the business session. I believe you have a copy of the program outline for the day, and we are on page 2. You don't have? Okay. But then the next item is the confirmation and adoption of minutes of the previous meeting held in 2021. We circulated these minutes on our platform, and everybody has seen it. We encouraged comments from you, which we have incorporated into the final version of the minutes. So we take the minutes as read, and we expect you now to indicate any areas of concern that you want us to respond to. Otherwise, we will not spend too much time on the minutes of the previous meeting.
Thank you very much. Sorry, Mr. President, I was only asking permission just before you continue, that it's an information for those online. When you look into the AGM brochure, e-brochure, on inside you would find the program for the business session. That's what is being followed. Please, those online, that's what is being followed in the e-brochure. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Cheated. So like I said earlier on, we are taking the minutes as read, And we are asking for comments and corrections, if any, from you members.
President, on the first page, the title, we still have practitioners there. And then the abbreviation also has the P. So we have to be mindful of it and take it out completely. Thank you.
Haunted by the past. Apologies. Yes, yes. Attendance, members, has everybody been captured in the attachment? Appendix 1. All right. All right. My initial position was to take the minutes as read. But let us walk through page 1. Any more comments? As far as the heading is concerned, and then the opening, the welcome address and all. Page 2. Page 2. Any comments on page 2 or corrections? Page 3. Page 4. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Ten. 11. 12. My good friends from Nigeria will say 13. 14. 15. 16. I've referred to the list of attendees already. So then, on the substantive issue of the minutes, there are no comments. I take it that there are no comments. So then we move to the matters arising. Oh, sorry. Somebody to move for the acceptance of the minutes. Andy. Seconded by Madam Kumase. Georgina. Georgina. Okay. So then you go to matters arising. Yeah. So, members, let us turn to the action tracker to discuss the matters arising. Operationalization of the Act 1020. We gave an update on that in the course of my speech as well as that of the Chief Executive. Virtual classes, we started, yes. The patronage is quite encouraging. However, there is a zero-sum effect. As we get more of the online, we are losing some of the in-person students. Research activity ongoing, expansion and collaboration with learning partners. Ongoing. HR Star Awards. Pending for obvious reasons, the money. Members, I appeal to you to also approach the corporate, sponsorship. Yes. How come the Chartered Institute of Marketing is able to attract sponsorship so easily, and we are struggling, and yet we are so powerful in the organization as enforcers of policies and procedures and implementation of disciplinary action. But when it comes to raising money, we are so helpless. Why? Yes, Madam Kumase. Hey, Georgina. Secretary. So, okay, let me start from here. Yes, please. Sure.
And ensure that at least next year, 2024, we roll it out. It's very, very important. If you have to budget for it and see whether we can support or get some sponsorship to support, and we can also pick a part of the budget.
Correct.
But it's very, very important.
You will take part of the
what I'm saying is that we should have a budget. How much is it going to cost us?
Yes. Okay.
Then we can decide if we explore the option of sponsorship. If you get all to be sponsored, fine, but not all, then we will see how we can also apportion. But it's very, very strategic initiative that we need to start from 2024.
Mr. Yes, please.
We need to double our efforts. We need to double our efforts. We need more visibility, awareness, and I guess we need to get aggressive, in marketing our services. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any more? Dr. Afezi.
Yeah, Mr. President, the award is motivational. We give recognition to practicing members. So I suggest we add it to the AGM from next year on. I mean, last week I saw it in the papers, the Institute of Directors, that is what they are doing.
Sure.
They are awarding their members in their AGM so that you wouldn't do a budget.
In terms of the cost. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Budget for just awards a whole year. No. It should be part of the AGM. And it will help us all in terms of the cost and then the visibility to be streamlined for everybody to see. Yes.
And between two AGMs, there should be 12 months. So we are looking at June next year, isn't it?
Maybe.
June next year.
Yes.
So we have a whole year to plan towards.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry.
Please any more.
Okay.
All right.
So the awards are very dear to our hearts, and we've agreed that it should be made part of AGM next year to save costs and also to give the visibility and the credibility to the institute. Because small, insignificant little companies are doing this, and we as an institute are not able to do it. Institute's vehicle, done. Phase 2 of our building. We met with the Deputy Minister for Education last week, or the week before last. And I threw in the request that they should be able to kind of come to our aid to support us complete the building. And he took it down in his diary and said he will work on it. So let us pray that, yes, he does the needful. No, a lot of monies come to Ministry of Education for all manner of development programs. Perhaps we have not explored that, so this time around, let us explore. We will follow up with a letter from the chief executive reminding him of the promise he made, and then we'll see what comes out of that. Because he was surprised we were building, and yet we're not getting support from anybody. All right. Right. Anymore, we've exhausted the action tracker, the items on the action tracker. Questions online? Oh, okay, right. Yes, right. Yeah, what? When we're the MCs, what other names do we have for them? MC. Yes, but I mean, what is their name? Apart from MC, there is another name you use for Madam Dora and the man. What's the generic name for people who facilitate? MC, yes, I know that one. But somebody used another name, you know.
Mr. President, we have a question from one comforter Peggy. The question goes like this: I suggest that we should plan and budget for the awards and budget for them from our resources, then we can augment it with sponsorship.
Well said. It's more of a contribution than a question. There is merit in what she said, so we've taken note of that. Yes. Is that Dr. Afeji's wife or something? Elder sister. Oh, okay. Any more? Any more comments? Any questions? In the absence of any more questions and comments, may a member move for the adoption of the minutes? You have moved. We moved before. Yeah. So then there's nothing to worry about. Yeah. Okay.
And she wants to speak.
Very well.
So IT guys, please put him through with the president's permission.
Sure.
Please put her through, sorry.
Who's second? Oh, one papa. Nanaya. Una second.
Let's have patience for it because technology. I have a person.
I guess even after this session, if there are issues, they can always be forwarded to the secretariat, and we respond appropriately. Let us be mindful of time, today being Friday, and also mindful of our Muslim brothers. Thank you very much.
The person online, I've just been advised that she should unmute. She should unmute and speak up. She'll be heard. Thank you.
Hello. Hello.
President.
Hello.
We can hear you, please.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
You speak.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam.
Actually, I was going to contribute earlier to. Good afternoon, President. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, madam.
Hello. Good afternoon. Actually, I was going to contribute to the award discussion.
Please go ahead.
Hello.
Please go ahead. We can hear you. You are loud and clear. We can hear you.
The budget that one of the members talk about, I was going to say that in spite of putting everything into the annual AGM, the AGM, we still have to get a budget for the awards, because the awards, definitely something will be given out. So definitely there should be a budget for the award, even though we're going to do it within the AGM. Thank you.
Well noted, madam. Yes. It wasn't going to be exclusive to the corporate Ghana. We will raise money from within to undertake that awards ceremony. So well said. We will consider that. Any more? On that note, I urge you to submit any further suggestions that you have to the Secretariat, and you take it from there. All right. Good. So then we close the chapter on the minutes, and the matters are rising. Shall we now turn to the next item, unless we want to listen to some music?
A very short one.
All right.
One. Yeah, thank you. Nene.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Very solid.
Till your eyes to love, you put down your window curtains, or let my love come tumbling into our lives again. Saying, ooh, it's been a long, long time. I've got this visit for you, girl. But it seems I was never on time. Still don't wanna get through to you, girl. In time, yeah. I wanna give you some love. I wanna give you some good, good loving. Oh, I wanna give you some love, yeah. I wanna give you some love. I wanna give you some good, good loving. I wanna give you some love, yeah. So, as our president was giving us some wonderful introductions, for a moment I felt we were in a courtroom. And he was saying many things. Everybody didn't say a thing. But when it got to the awards, everybody was talking, yeah. Ubiape award you. We don't want some awards, oh. Make sure as we enter the next session, everything he go say, you go say something. Don't just contribute to the awards. Make you bring some money too for the awards. Be a sponsor, pay your dues. Be a sponsor, pay your dues, yeah. Be a sponsor, pay your dues. Be a sponsor, make we get the money for the awards. But don't forget me, I need an award too. As a Chartered Institute musician, give me an award too. As an HR Artist of the Year. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next item on the program is the presentation of the auditor's report for the year 2022. The gentleman is here. Please, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Mr. President, my name is Daniel Quality, representing the Auditor General. I hereby present the 2022 Auditor's Report for the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management, Ghana. Independent Auditor's Report to the members of the Institute. Report of the audit of the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management, Ghana's financial statement. We have audited the financial statement of the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management, Ghana, which comprise the statement of financial position as at 31st December 2022, and the statement of comprehensive income, statement of financial position, statement of changes in net assets, and cash flow statement for the year then ended, and the notes to the financial statement, set out on pages 15 to 26, which includes a summary of significant accounting policies and other explanatory notes. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statement gives a true and fair view of the financial position of the Institute as at 31st December 2022, and of its financial performance and cash flows for the year then ended, in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards for small and medium-sized entities, and in a manner required by the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management, Ghana Act 2020, Act 1020. Basis of our opinion. We have conducted the audit in accordance with international standards for supreme audit institutions. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the financial statement section of this report. We are independent of the entity in accordance with the Code of Ethics for Supreme Audit Institutions, together with the ethical requirements that are relevant to the audit of the financial statements in Ghana. And we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with these requirements and the Code of Ethics. We believe the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Other information. The Council is responsible for the other information. The other information comprises the President's statement, the report of standing committees included in the 2022 annual report. Our opinion on the financial statement does not cover the other information, and we do not express any form of assurance thereon. In connection with our audit of the financial statement, our responsibility is to read the other information, and in doing so, consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the financial statement or our knowledge obtained in the audit, or otherwise appears to be materially misstated. If based on the work we have performed, we conclude that there is a material misstatement of this other information, we are required to report that fact. We have nothing in this regard. The responsibilities of the Council for the financial statement. The Council is responsible for the preparation of the financial statement in accordance with IFRS for SMEs and in a manner required by the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management Ghana, 2020 Act 1020. And for certain such internal controls as they determine necessary to enable the preparation of the financial statements that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. In preparing the financial statement, Council is responsible for assessing the Institute's ability to continue as a going concern, disclosing as applicable matters related to going concern and using the going concern basis of accounting. Council is responsible for overseeing the Institute's financial reporting process. Our responsibilities as auditors in respect to the financial statement. Our objectives are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statement as a whole are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but it is not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with international standards or Supreme Audit Institution, which is the ISIS, which is consistent with the fundamental accounting principle, ISIS 100 to 999 of the International Standards of Supreme Audit Institution, will always detect a material misstatement that exists. Misstatements can arise from fraud or error and are considered material if individually or in aggregate they could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decision of users taken on the basis of these financial statements. As part of an audit in accordance with international standards of Supreme Audit Institutions, which is consistent with the fundamental accounting principles, ISIS 100 to 999 of the International Standards of Supreme Audit Institution, we exercise professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also identify and assess the risks of material misstatements in the financial statement, whether due to fraud or error, and design and perform audit procedures responsive to those risks, while obtaining audit evidence sufficient and appropriate to provide enough basis for our opinion. The risk of not detecting material misstatement resulting from fraud is higher than for one resulting from error, as fraud may involve collusion, forgery, intentional omissions, misrepresentations, or the override of internal controls. Obtain an understanding of the internal controls relevant to the audit in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the entity's internal control. Evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates and related disclosures made by counsel. Conclude on the appropriateness of counsel's use of the going concern basis of accounting, and based on the audit evidence obtained, whether a material uncertainty exists related to events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the entity's ability to continue as a going concern. If we conclude that a material uncertainty exists, we are required to draw attention in the auditor's report to the related disclosures in the financial statement, or if such disclosures are inadequate, to modify our audit opinion. Our conclusions are based on the audit evidence obtained up to the date of the report. However, events or conditions may cause the entity to cease to continue as a going concern. Evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of the financial statement, including the disclosures and whether the financial statement represents the underlying transactions and events in a manner that achieves fair presentation. Obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding the financial information of the entities or business activities within the institute. To express an opinion on the financial statement, we are responsible for the direction, supervision, and performance of the institute's audits. We remain solely responsible for our audit opinion. We communicate with those charged with governance regarding, among other matters, the planned scope and timing of the audit and significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal control that we identified during the audit. We also provide those charged with governance a statement that we have complied with relevant ethical requirements regarding independence, and to communicate with them all relationships and other matters that may reasonably be thought to bear on our independence, and where applicable, related safeguards. The independence audited report is issued by and signed by John Godfred Kojo Addison, Deputy Auditor General, Commercial Audit Department, dated on the 9th of June 2023. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Members, we've heard the report read. Let us go into the figures and find out whether there are issues for him to respond to. Otherwise, we are extremely grateful to you, Mr. Addison. So members in person, online, any comments, any issues? Yes, Mr. Tapedu.
The information was shared or circulated to all members. Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Of the external auditors. Perhaps our number one stakeholder here is the internal auditor. Does he have any comments? Anything to say? Nothing to say. All right. Online participants, any comments? Mr. Boachi, any indication on the platform? I guess it's a good job done then. No comments. So a round of applause for our good friend. No, John. Oh, Daniel. Daniel, thank you. So you presented, but then it's Mr. John Addison, the Deputy Auditor General, who prepared it. He signed. We are grateful. We are grateful. On that note, members, can we move to the next item on the program? Oh, sorry. Sure. Oh, okay, fine. So
Mr. President, having gone through and listened to the auditor, I want to move for the adoption of the audited accounts. Thank you. For 2022.
Any seconder? Isaac. Moved and seconded. Thank you. So we close the chapter on that as well. Let us move to the award of the fellowship.
President, if you don't mind, since we are not getting any questions, there are people online who are sending us messages, and they are showing that they are involved in what we are doing, which is good. I'll just mention some of the names of
Very well.
Pearl, Angela, Cynthia, Judith. Please, it's not only ladies. Ajiman, Clement are also there. Philip is calling us from Osino. Mr. Agbeto, he says I should greet you. If I don't greet you, I can be in trouble, from Osino. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are online and we are advancing our course, our CIHRM. Priscilla is also with Danwell, and she's also doing things. Sandy, Yomia, we've also got your messages. It's ongoing, so that's a very good one. Do we need a music interlude before we do the... So... Okay. All right. So we go ahead, Mr. President, please. Yes, please.
Is the conferral of fellowship on the awardees. Should I do that? Mr. MC, should I come over, or I can sit
Yes,
here?
I think you can come over and then do this together with Mr. Peitu, and there are well done messages online. So shall we give ourselves a round of applause just to make them continue? Mr. President and Mr. Peitu, I think you should approach here.
As you said, Osino, somebody said, no, it's Osino. It's Osino.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Members, once again, good afternoon. It has often been said that a nation that does not recognize its heroes is not worth dying for. A member of this institute who is not recognized over time with the highest award will also not be worth dying for. So from time to time, we identify members who have distinguished themselves in the practice of HR to award, and that's exactly what we are going to do. My advice to them, though, is that they should uphold this elevation with honor and esteem, and we believe that they will not do anything to undermine the integrity of the institute. So on that note, I want to congratulate the awardees. Having said so, we're going to share the responsibility amongst ourselves. I will present to, Mr. Wilson will present to, and Mr. Atabedu will also present to them. So, thanks. So the first two. Oh, sorry.
Mr. President, members of council, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the Institute of Human Resource Management practitioners. It must be with a deep sense of pride and excitement that we have all gathered here this afternoon to award the status of fellows to deserving members of our institute. This feeling of accomplishment is against the background where we have come from as a professional institute. Because since the state recognized this institute as a chartered institute, this is the first time we are recognizing some members who have provided the knowledge, the expertise to be recognized as fellows. The status of fellow is the highest level to which a member of our professional institute can aspire, but also connotes the highest level of scholarship, knowledge, and practice of this profession. As a fellow, you should be able to hold your own and make pronouncement on any situation in the profession that you may be confronted, and also upholding ethical standards. As a professional institute, a chartered one at that, we also need to have our presence felt at the national front, pronouncing on people management issues, confronting industries, institutions, both private and public, and the nation at large. As HR practitioners, we claim, and rightly so, to be the managers of the most important asset of any nation, company, or institution. That is the human capital. And who manage and conduct affairs in any institution make the difference. The quality of your human capital makes the difference in performance. We should therefore not hold our silence, and also our voice need not always be heard in the public place, when discreet consultation may yield better results. Because in some situations, we can't go public, but we need to meet our clients. It can be an institution, an issue, and resolve these issues in-house. Our country urgently requires our expertise as the country Ghana position itself to attract more investment and also to improve the business environment. Today, we honor
and celebrate 6 of our members of our professional institute. As we elevate them to the status of fellows, we believe every member should aspire to that level. And we want to emphasize that the committee went through a very rigorous selection process. In fact, we added another level, and that means that we invited each one of them and engaged them. It was not an interview, because at that level, to be condescending to invite them for an interview. So we said, come and we will engage you in a conversation, because we wanted to validate the CVs that were sent to us and also validated your career history, what you've been able to achieve, not at the administrative level, functional level of HR, the housekeeping level of HR, no. Leave management, funeral arrangement, and that kind of stuff. But at the strategic level, where you make an impact on the business and create value for the business. So you earned the fellowship status because you went through a very rigorous process. To our newly inducted fellows, you are among the best that this institute has produced, and I can validate for that. Because some of the conversation took over 2 hours, both in scholarship, knowledge, and practice. How we progress in this process, how other professionals view us, how the nation appraises us, will to a large extent depend on your actions and inactions as professionals. Your pronouncement and your leadership serving as a beacon to the younger one among us at the national and institutional levels. Indeed, quite a few of you are serving on boards of companies and institutions, and we expect you to demonstrate your quality, the knowledge at that level. And we pray you continue to effect positive professional reports where you serve, so that you can lift this institute to the next level. We wish you well and pronounce God's favor upon you as you continue with your professional careers. Upon our institute, the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management of Ghana, and on the nation, Ghana. So on this note, on behalf of the committee, I profoundly congratulate the 6 of you who went through this rigorous selection process to be recognized as fellows of this institute. Thank you very much. The first recipient is Mrs. Nana Yachum. She used to be a former council member. Congratulations.
The president to do the first 2.
Yes, the first 2.
Isaac, and then these 2 will be John Bose.
Okay.
And then the last 2 will be
Okay. Thank you. We have Mr. Isaac Sake. He's also a government council member. He runs his own HR business. Mr. Wilson, it's your turn. Can we have Mr. Eric Boss Duka? Congratulations. Chairman Tema Chapter. Mrs. Georgina Yeboah, Chairman Kumasi Chapter.
and a long-standing member of the Institute. Yes, okay.
At this point, I take over because the chairman himself is going to do the presentation. So we have Mrs. Dora Sion-Lartey, former chairman, Accra chapter. Congratulations. Thank you. The next person is Mr. Emmanuel Kosa. He is the immediate past president, Accra chairman. All right. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Round of applause for our fellows. All too soon, we've come to the end of our business session, and a few comments that have come on the online. Somebody just passes, and I know we've passed it, Mr. President, but I'll just pass the comment so that those online can appreciate. Having more corporate members will increase sponsorship opportunities. It will also see increase in individual members. I suggest the Institute increases corporate membership drive. We target new members by end of every year, which targets each member, new members by end of every year. Bertrand wants to speak on the funding support for our building complex, as well as sponsors for our programs, awards and in-person. I'll plead with him because of time to send his message to any of the council members or the CEO, and I guess that should be in order, if you don't mind, Mr. President. Thank you very much. So Bertrand, we acknowledge your message that has been sent, Bertrand Russell Quay. So we will look at that. After the fellows had received, we need one of them. Okay, I'll make a choice. Nanaya, you were the first to receive. So Nanaya, and then you since you are doing it, and I know what you can do, say thank you to the whole online and ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Seth. Good afternoon, audience online and those here present. On behalf of the newly inducted fellows and the entire fraternity of this great institute, I'd first of all like to extend my most sincere thanks to God Almighty for making today's event a resounding success. He gave us rain and now he's given us sun, and everything has gone on well. I especially want to thank our guest speaker, who isn't here but will definitely get to see or watch this later on, Mr. Eric Adadevo, for his vital appearance and thought-provoking speech. Sir, we are grateful. I also pass my warm thanks to the audience for their significant virtual and in-person presence in this meeting. To our councillors and committee members of CIHRM, thank you for showing up. We know how busy you can be. To our MCs, we say well done on a yeoman's job. Thank you, Dora and Seth. To our Able Institute staff, we can't thank you enough for organizing this event. You do it well every time. We are so grateful. Finally, on behalf of the newly inducted fellows of this institute, we say thank you for the honor done us. We pledge to continue to serve and uphold the image of our great institute. And to all here present and our virtual audience, we say thank you. Yedang Masi. God bless us all.
Thank you, Mrs. Nanaya Achum. Yeah, please, we have the registration forms outside there. So if you haven't registered, when you step out, kindly register for us. I have been asked to show the books that we have here on sale. We have the HR Thought Leadership by our own president, Dr. Edward Kwapong. So you can have some at the research secretariat. Then we still have Mr. Saribidi Akun's book, the 3rd edition. So you can also have that one. And then our own Mr. Ben Jones Agbai, seasoned industrial relations practitioner. So his book is also there. And then we have one from our rep in Kumasi, Mr. Friyosei. His book is titled Labor Relations and Engagements. I don't know whether we have copies here anywhere, but he sent it to us to announce it for him. So that's by way of announcement. Thank you very much. Say.
It's been a pleasure working with Dora. We've been here for 2023. We appreciate your support, those of you here and those online. We are not dying now, so we shall return. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure coming your way. My name is Seth Jojome, being your humble moderator, all things being equal.
Dora Seulate.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we've come to the end of the program, and we appreciate your support. We will just wind up online. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Fellows, congratulations. Council, thank you so much. It's been well organized. Secretariat, thank you very much. CEO, okay. I don't know what my sweet look is like, but I've been instructed by the organizer, corporate affairs manager, to say the closing prayer.